As you saw earlier, Eddie versus Muzzy for match
I
number
don't
3.
think it was 3 minutes and 59 seconds, but, you know.
Felt like 3 minutes 59 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this. So Eddie is bringing that Highlander aggressive warrior with the warpath and the brawl. Muzzy's bringing the no Zul'jin, like playing aggressive Reno Hunter. So aggro Highlander decks coming out here. Muzzy got his Hunter banned. And Muzzy protected the priest and banned the priest. So good stuff from the players bringing the deck list, but we might not even see it come into play here, DJ.
Yeah, at least not the Hunter. The Warrior could find a spot because there's Druid on the other side. It kind of depends how these matchups go. But it is... I was pleasantly surprised, as we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, to see kind of this much innovation in what's been the same metagame for the last, 3 to 4 weeks, where we're just now seeing almost completely new archetypes make their way into Grandmasters. Maybe not so much Highlander Hunter in itself, but at the very least, a different take on it, a much different take on it. And we actually are going to get to see the Highlander Warrior from Eddie in game number 1 here. And, yep, that's a Warpath and a Brawl in what's otherwise a very aggressive deck.
It's weird. It's very weird. And we're going to see how that aggro Highlander Warrior stacks up against the Priest. Muzzy really needs every win he can get if he's going to be in playoff contention. Meanwhile, Eddie, he's in first place, and he is guaranteed a playoff spot. It's whether or not he can get that extra edge. Your reward for placing first in a division is that you get to be seated 1 round over your opponent in the upper bracket. If we are looking at a double elimination stage, you're waiting in the winner's match, while the 4th place will be waiting in the loser's match. It's almost as if you're guaranteed a victory in that first best of 5. So a huge implication for whoever can get that first place spot, and Eddie's in prime position to do it. Is he going to do it with this deck?
I got you, friend.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it. Eddie's like, unbelievable. Early game inner fire.
Okay, Dan, this is where the Brawl comes in. It's time for Eddie to transition into playing control.
He already knows that he's probably going to be behind. It's like, good lord. Now, he does have Temple Berserker, and then he can use Cruel Taskmaster and Prove Morale. But yeah, that coin into Tulvir not working out for Eddie. He is disappointed, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of fight back. Like, he can keep fighting for board. If things get too out of control, he can fall back on Brawl. He technically will have a resource advantage outside of Muzzy picking up a Northshire Cleric. So if we think he goes Temple Berserker now, if Muzzy value trades over this, then, like you said, he can go Cool Taskmaster plus Improve Morale to maybe clean up on the following turn. But there's so many plays that punish him, and Eddie knows that. Does have quite a few rush minions in the deck to try and fight back. He does have Rabid Worgen. He has Restless Mummy. He has Darius Crowley. Corcoran Elite. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder if a lackey here can change anything for Eddie. Improve Morale is mainly just a utility card. I don't know if Writhing Berserker here is a good idea, given that it seems like it's easy to get punished by Neverset Ritualist.
Yeah. Improve Morale, if he doesn't pick up a good lackey, he can Cruel Taskmaster, force the heal from Muzzy out on the injured Blade Master. And, he's fighting back. This is kind of what the deck does best. The Temple Warriors, even the non-Highlander versions, end up being pretty good against Priest because they have a lot of board tricks and ways to deal damage to board from hand. With Rush Minions, with Cruel Taskmaster, with Inner Rage.
Injured?
It's a good pickup here from Muzzy to get that card draw with the Lesser Heal. Finds the High Priest Ahmet. Livewire Lance. Strikes down the injured Blade Master. We're just going toe to toe here.
Oh, and Kobold Lackey. Could be some fight back potential here from Eddie. I actually like his hand. He's got answers to a lot of things. If Muzzy decides to go wide, he can Brawl. If he decides to try and keep fighting for this board with just, a play and a heal each turn. He can use Kobold Lackey and Darius Crowley to try and fight back. Not a terrible position.
Psycho Pomp. Oof. High Priest Unmet, Divine Spear into Psycho Pomp. That's going to be very hard to stop from Eddie's perspective, but he does have that brawl. I mean, we're kind of giggling about it, but it looks pretty good.
Get your clips ready to send to purple. I have
Eddie
a feeling we're going to have some ammo this game.
Eddie even has a good play this turn with the ability to shut down the injured Blade Master or the Northshire Cleric with that upgrade.
Yeah.
If he does play the upgrade, he does have the ability to play the Frothing Berserker and shut down the injured Blade Master with the Cobalt Lackey, and then he has Frothing Berserker up. But then he lets Muzzy draw yet another card. Another option is that Darius Crowley trade in and just kind of let Darius Crowley exist on the board, and then Muzzy's card draw source has been shut off.
Yeah. It's actually tough. The play that stood out to me first was one of the ones you mentioned, upgrade Kobold Lackey and Frothing Berserker. Like you said, you do allow Muzzy to get a card draw from the Northshire Cleric. But if they do that, then they're leaving a bigger Frothing Berserker on the board. Like if he bumps the Kobold Lackey and then heals, he has 4 mana available, and the Frothing Berserker is starting to get really big. But the injured Blade Master on board doesn't challenge Darius Crowley, which I think is the big thing about it.
Psycho Pomps are a lot weaker with when Amet's not onto the board.
Yeah. There is an injured Blade Master in the pool. But other than that, there's a Light Warden, a Beaming Sidekick, and a Northshire Cleric. So
none of those sound really that great outside of maybe Cleric. I guess the injured Blade Master number 1 is good, though.
Yeah, injured Blade Master would be good. Northshire Cleric would be okay. And then Light Warden and Beaming Sidekick would be pretty lackluster. Keep in mind, because this is a Highlander deck, Eddie always has a Zephyr's Draw to fall back on.
Quickly.
Which is, I think, where the big power level comes in of the deck, is that,
Oh my. I was not expecting this. Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. Fortune to the face. Or is he trading?
He's trading.
He's trading. I thought he was going to put it on two-turn lethal.
Makes the brawl slightly better.
Yeah, you're right.
If he has Bloodsworn Mercenary, he could copy Darius Crowley and then kill the injured Blade Master.
Is that really the case? He's at 14-14.
He would just need a little bit of extra damage, which he knows that there's a Lackey in hand.
So
Or
Goblin Lackey.
Goblin Lackey, because he'd copy the 7/5 Darius Crowley and be able to kill over it. But there's only one up. It's a Highlander deck.
That's exactly why you kill it, because it's a Highlander deck, TJ. They always have it. And he could also swing for another Lackey opportunity. I think the Faceless Lackey Brawl is probably what he's going to consider in this position.
That away.
The Brawl? Muzzy was accounting for it. Hoping for the 1 and 3. Does not get it.
There you go, Purple. Imagine if you didn't play a Brawl in that scenario.
That means Ahmet's a little bit more free to come up now, though. Ahmet and Light Warden. Ahmet looks like it would bite the dust because of the Kobold Lackey and the upgrade. Injured Blade Master returns, but that was also Muzzy's backup plan, which was if this injured Blade Master dies, he does have more injured Blade Masters in the pool.
Name.
Really clever stuff here from Muzzy. And I gotta say, a lot of the deviations from what looked like to be the fairly obvious play is very smart. And I think it's been rewarded so far in terms of how he's layering his threats. Because I would have played Ahmed probably a long time ago.
Yeah.
And gotten punished. We've been waiting on Frothing Berserker for a while. And Eddie, with that injured Blade Master out, still feels unsure about it.
He could go Soul Thraze, upgrade, and clear the board. Except for a the reborn version of the Injured Blade Master, since he would have no way to overkill it.
What now?
Because it'd be a 5-attack Soul Thrace, so he'd go into Cycle Pump, then into Light Warden, then trade, and into Injured Blade Master, but it would kill it exactly, wouldn't overkill it.
Ethereal Lackey.
I must choose.
Ethereal Lackey can get a lot of really powerful removal, like Execute, Plague of Wrath, maybe another Brawl?
Nothing.
Slam. Ooh, Commanding Shout.
Oh, Commanding Shout works really well with Rush. In fact, it works really well with Darius, probably. Looks like Eddie missed 2 damage.
Yeah.
The last opportunity for Muzzy to go for a Divine Spirit play. I mean, he had used both of his Inner Fires, but one Divine Spirit, Topsy Turvy, Welcome Veins. The Cycle Pop is big. Oh my goodness. Imagine if he ripped that second Brawl, though, off the Ethereal Lackey.
Yeah, Commanding Shout, if his Frolic Berserker had stuck, would have been okay. But now even Soul Thrace is looking pretty lackluster. Especially since he'll just be taking so much damage with all those swings. Nothing feels great here. Commanding Shout, Soul Thrace, is there a good way to... He could kill Ahmet and then...
Yeah, he needs to kill Ahmet for sure. It's interesting sequencing, I guess.
Snip Snap.
Cleaning commences.
Ooh.
Cleric off the top.
Outside of Bwansamdi, that was pretty much the best draw in Muzzy's deck. Maybe a Neverset Ritualist also for some value trades, but this may allow that as well if he picks up Neverset Ritualist off his heel. 8 plus 14, 22 damage available. Not quite there. But almost.
Muzzy probably debating if he wants to tag on this Divine Spirit before he ends up going for the trades. I don't think he needs to right now.
Not too quickly.
Yeah, he's clearing off much of the board, but that's his last Northshire clear. He can protect it on board, but if it gets killed, his last draw engine besides a one of Bwansamdi in the deck. All right, now Soul Thrace is looking much better.
Yeah, Frightened Flunky can also set up something else really nice too. Soul Thrace is a card that I think is pretty underrated. It's just that it never found its pocket in the metagame, and Control Warrior never really needed it.
Yeah, right now it's super good. That is a full clear. He Soul Thraces into each of these minions, trades both of his 1-drops into Injured Blade Master to activate Overkill, and then completely clears the board. Actually, he doesn't even need to trade both since it's a complete... Oh, no, he...
He forgot about the overkill.
Well, he had to clear. He just had to attack the first the Reborn Injured Blade Master first, then attack the second one, and then kill the Reborn with the 1/1. Instead, he... Oh, no!
Punish! Not like this, Eddie. Not like this. Muzzy can heal, trade, and then Ritualist. And what a world of difference being able to stick a minion versus not. Eddie, from the shake to the nod, recognizing, you know what? I deserve that.
Yep. And Hecklebot can be very good here or very bad.
Well, he could actually Hecklebot and pull out.
Like Beaming Sidekick.
Yeah,
but
like really weak minions.
there's also 2 injured Tolvirs in the deck. There's also a
Wow.
Bwansamdi in the deck.
What a difference it would make to just have a 2-3 versus this. I think the Warriors should have won this game maybe if they're able to close out from this position. If Muzzy doesn't draw Bonswami the next like 2-3 turns, and Eddie was able to just like Hecklebot and Snip Snap.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a chance, right? Like, he could reasonably Hecklebot and double Snip Snap. The problem is Muzzy is running a double silence deck. He hasn't drawn any of his silences, and last turn floated 4 mana with a card in hand, meaning that that's most likely a silence.
Yep, spreading it out, avoiding the silence altogether.
And now Muzzy's a Power Word Shield, any type of buff away. He was a Power Word Shield or an Extra Arms away from winning the game.
Still seems worth it to me. Enter Tolvir. Heal the Tolvir.
I've got more left in
All
me.
face. I think we're all in at this point if we're Muzzy. I don't think you can win the game like in the long term if you just keep trading.
Yeah.
Your opponent has just as many cards as you, but a little bit more. I like pressuring and trying to end it right now. A Leroy Jenkins.
Face me, you tempting tyrant.
Life
Okay.
is an afterthought.
Reasonable pull.
Interesting that Eddie's still not using his weapon swing for anything. I thought he wanted to go into 2-5, maybe trade off a couple more. I guess that functionally does the same thing because the 2-3s wouldn't be able to kill off the other 2-3s.
I wonder.
He could also play Leroy.
I don't know about that.
Well, Leroy's protected by the taunt.
Yeah, but maybe the 2 1-mana minions give Muzzy
Yeah.
some kind of breakpoint that he wouldn't have otherwise.
Eddie also could have used Inner Rage for a trade over.
Ooh. So now he just full trades into Hecklebot and then brings his Injured Blade Master back up to full health.
Another alternative is for him to flip the Hecklebot.
Double trade and then push, but then he's out of flips because he's used both inner fires, and that would be his topsy-turvy, which mean that he wouldn't have a way to get that last bit of damage outside of multiple attacks with the Injured Blade Master and with the armor up from Eddie, and Eddie knowing that he has no more flips. He could just kind of be forever out of range and just kind of go wide on board and make sure that Muzzy never has enough damage since he's playing 1 minion a turn.
Yeah, you're right. He could also Injured Blade Master trade and then heal it back to full. Oh, not heal it back to full. Heal it back up to 12.
Must consider.
It doesn't seem worth it. I'm trying to justify it in a lot of different angles, but it's just this.
And needs to hold on to Circle of Healing in case Eddie tries to do preemptive damage into this Injured Blade Master.
Oh, Restless Mummy. I mean,
No tomb
he did have Leroy and Inner Rage for the guaranteed clear, but this Restless Mummy makes it a lot easier. TJ, the Highlander Warrior.
Yeah. Almost punished, because there was like 5 draws in Muzzy's deck out of 13 cards on that one turn where the Injured Blade Master could have flipped that would have won in the game.
That was one of them.
Yep. Beaming Sidekick, he had 2 Power Word Shields in the deck.
He doesn't even have a Bwansamdi drawing anything.
Yep.
Zephyrus.
Oof.
Zephyrus can put the Tyrion, get a big thing in the way, or even just try to set up ways to end the game.
Yeah, I might even... I guess Tyrion's the biggest minion that you'd have. Even if it gets silenced, it's still a 6/6, which otherwise you'd have like Guardian of Kings.
6? I'm trying to count how much...
What
If Eddie has
now?
lethal with Savage Roar.
Oh, Savage Roar,
So if you
yeah.
pay Leroy Inner Rage, that's 8 damage on the Leroy. So 8 plus the 6 on the board is 14. Plus the 12, that's 26.
26, yep. What about No, you can't do Bloodlust in a race.
I think you just all trade and then hero power.
Yep. You set up for lethal next turn with that exact combo, even if he heals.
Beaming sidekick, power word shield.
Might even be in a situation where he needs to power word shield an opposing minion to get the extra health with the beaming sidekick.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I guess you're right. He needs that injured Tolvir. And with this pass, Eddie is going to close out the game. Inner Rage first, Zephyrus to give you the Savage Roar. You want to present all the information possible to Zephyrus so you can make the most educated decision. And that'll do it. Game 1 goes to the Highlander Aggro Warrior.
Woo! You'd love to
where
see
the
it.
brawl was relevant.
I know.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, probably lost the game without that brawl. And then still almost lost the game because of a mechanical error.
Well, yeah, and
still manages to get over the
Muzzy
hump.
also hit really well with like the Psycho Pop.
Yeah.
He got 2 injured Blade Masters when it wasn't even like anywhere close to guaranteed.
Yeah, had Ahmet with Psychopomp combo on 8. Like never had like a super bad turn up until the later stages, and even drew both Northshire Clerics relatively early to get a decent amount of card draw, even though he didn't have Circle of Healing to pair with it. But it wasn't a bad start from the Priest by any means. It wasn't the absolute nuts start that we've become accustomed to, but it wasn't bad, and he was able to defeat it pretty well.
Well, that's game 1 in this series. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll resume halftime and see if Muzzy can come back against Eddie, who's currently leading the division.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
Mazahidul Islam. I go by Muzzy in game. My username, as you know, my first name is Mazahidul. It's kind of difficult to say for some people, and every time someone calls you, they're gonna have to say, "Hey, Mazahidul." That's long, and you don't want to say that. My friend gave me a nickname, like, "Hey Muzz, hey Muzzy." So I sort of just took that, and name's Muzzy. I took a look at the list of players. Some of them have been more focused on streaming, I would say, in these past few years. I've participated at the highest levels of competition that they might not have appeared in. I'm the player to beat in my group, for sure. The thing that I most look forward to about competing in Grandmasters is the thrill of the competition. It's really why I play Hearthstone. It's what I've enjoyed doing for the past 3-4 years, and it's what I'll continue to enjoy doing, hopefully. I think Hearthstone Instinct is definitely my greatest skill set. I think that if I took a break for a while and didn't play the game and came back to new cards, I think I could pilot a new deck fairly well, fairly quickly. People would always mention the term burnout to me. Burnout, burnout, burnout. I didn't know what it was. I would constantly play Hearthstone all the time. I definitely want to have more titles and put my name in Hearthstone history.
My name is Eddie Liu, formerly Sehun628. Now it's just Eddie plain. My last year I had a pretty successful year, especially since I only played this game for 2 years. I won Dreamhack Atlanta. It's only a tour stall, but it meant a lot to me, especially since I was grinding really, really hard for a win. When I first knew that, like I received the email that I got into Grandmaster, I was really excited. I checked my email at like 10:30 and I was like hyped. I was like, oh my God, is this actually real? I think I'm a very consistent player. I think the X factor for myself is that I hate playing aggro decks, I would say. I'm a very control/anti-control player. I rather outgrind my opponent in resources. I constantly judge myself, oh, is this right? Is what I'm doing correct? And it means a lot. It means a lot to me that if other people are agreeing what I do and what I think. At this point, I just want to make Worlds. I had a pretty good record in tour stop. I think I was at least top 10, if not top 5. I think I was lucky. I think this group is the easier group, and I think I have a good chance getting out of groups.
Welcome back, everyone. Muzzy and Eddie are currently playing. Eddie up 1-0 as we head into game number 2 with playoff implications on the line here, as Muzzy is currently in the middle of the pack, right behind a couple of other players. Eddie firmly in first place. If he gets this win and may be able to continue that momentum going into the final week of Grandmasters. This is the final week of the regular season, but next week we'll have playoffs, we'll have the new patch, all the wild cards. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, this is the final week of Grandmasters for the season for half the players, and the final week maybe ever for a few of the players, one per division. So Eddie going to be queuing the Holy Wrath Paladin for game number 2. This is a deck that we've seen Eddie pilot with great success over the course of both seasons of Grandmasters. And he has his unique Eddie twist on it, which is the Solid's Pride, Loot Hoarder, very aggressive draw with even a Blessing of Wisdom thrown in there. We'll see how it stands up against Priest, though, as Muzzy's going to cue that again, try and take his victory.
Yep, the aggressive card draw version of Eddie's Paladin is pretty important for its overall strategy, which is less on the utility of trying to finish the game through like weapons and whatnot, more just like I want to get through the deck quicker. Some people have like Soup Vendor, another heal to like stall and try to like heal up. And he's like, you know what, just let's cut to the chase. Do I get to my the end of my deck fast or do I not?
Yeah.
And it's worked out for him a lot.
Yeah, but I think Priest might be one of the matchups where it suffers a little bit. Just for the fact that there's some tools that he just doesn't have access to that, other decks might have access to. Like the Prismatic Lens to be able to do more powerful board clears early on in the game. He only has 1 copy. Truce over Champion to answer minions early only has 1 copy. Consecration to couple with like Blood Mage Thanos or additional options for clears with equality, only has 1 copy. He makes up for that with more early game minions, like Loot Hoarder can help fight for board. Blessing of Wisdom can, help get to those removals faster. But outside of that, he doesn't have some of the tools that could help him out a little bit more.
Muzzy going for the early inner fire. Back-to-back games where an early inner fire is utilized in order to capitalize on his momentum. Now, Eddie doesn't have that turn 4 play they were talking about, but Muzzy's going to try to play around it. Does have the ability to never set Ritualist after he trades in. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is even better.
That's even better.
Circle of Healing now going to draw 2 cards.
This is bad news for Eddie. I will say though, Eddie still has that Novice Engineer, double Novice Engineer, and like the Loot Hoarder, Blood Mage Thanos. Still a lot of card draw. Ooh, Prismatic Lens.
Every single card in his hand draws cards. Every single one.
Holy Wrath for 1.
All right, I'll take it.
A key card that's been described to us by Firebat at the beginning of the last season was Holy Wrath being played early in the matchup as opposed to later. Actually, this was earlier this season. Apologies. Priest was not the deck it was.
Oh no.
To say the least.
Oh no.
It was earlier this season where 5 was saying, in this matchup, he finds that it's important to play timeouts early so that way you can get the mana, enough mana to go for the board clears. And now you can start to see that Eddie has a hand once again. 8 out of these 9 cards. Draw something. But he needs a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Is Eddie desperate enough where he actually has to Holy Wrath for 1 and hope that it kills something? Like he can play Bloodmage's Thanos, Holy Wrath, the Northshire Cleric.
Dan, I'm thinking the next level. Is Eddie desperate enough to wait until next turn and double Holy Wrath to face? The answer is a resounding no. But there's always the, that gnawing thought in the back of your head of, am I dead this turn? Because there was 10 power being represented on board, a health buff and a swapperoo. Could have been enough to end the game. But you always have to assess that risk as the priest and say, 1, how likely am I to die this turn? If it's relatively unlikely, then take a risk. Even if it's just sort of unlikely, you normally have to take the risk and just hope they don't have it.
Muzzy is really close to it.
Very close.
Because he has the top seat and inner fire and extra arms and heal. He's actually limited just by his mana. If he had a little bit extra mana, I think he actually did have the lethal. If he picks up Divine Spirit, it's not enough, I think.
No, it would be enough.
Because
It would be exact, yeah.
Can still attack. Oh my goodness, game's
All right,
over.
game's over.
Wow, cool. Game 3. But what's important is that Eddie got the first win with the Warrior. So now after Priest has finally gotten through, what will Eddie do going into the 3rd game here? Priest ending it quickly. There's still that OTK Paladin up against either the Control Warrior or the Quest Druid for Muzz. Muzzy's Reno Hunter was banned, for reference.
And that means Eddie has his own Quest Druid and Priest remaining versus Quest Druid Warrior. Paladin would have like 1 slight favorable and 1 unfavorable.
Druid seems like mirror and favorable.
Druid is mirror and favorable, so probably Druid. Because Muzzy has the full armor warrior, except missing 1 Eternium Rover, but he has double weapons project, double shield block, and Hecklebot. Whereas, I don't know. I guess it's the same, because in both situations you have like 1 even matchup and then 1 kind of favorable. But that's weird. That's a weird situation. It all depends on their perception of the matchups.
It's true. Some people consider Druid versus Warrior to even necessarily be Warrior favored.
Yeah. And also some people think that in Holy Wrath Paladin versus Warrior that the Holy Wrath Paladin's favored. Even despite all the armor.
Crystology on 1. Crystal Merchant or Untapped Potential. We've seen some people coin out the Crystal Merchant early on. But I think Muzzy is going to be thinking about one thing and one thing only, which is pressure.
They are playing so fast. I guess these early turns, especially against Quest Druid, are pretty...
I can appreciate it, TJ.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the opposite side, where players playing too slow, missing damage, confusing themselves.
Confusing others.
Somehow, like, buying the wrong expansion packs, deleting their own deck slots. You name it, TJ. It's just ultimate chaos.
Oof.
Yeah, he had an opportunity to deal with it almost any other way. But True Silver Champion does make it really nice. So Muzzy can't clean up these 1/1s, right? You need that Crystal Merchant deck to do some cleanup.
And chip damage can be relevant. Muzzy is running double Ferocious Howl, double Hidden Oasis, so he does have the ability to heal. The problem is it's about finding those cards, right? You need Hidden Oasis and double Ferocious Howl. At least. to out-heal the double combo, and you usually need the other hidden Oasis to negate the chip damage that has happened up until that point in the game.
I like this Blessing of Wisdom because it gets you the card draw and also forces them to kill the Blood Mage Thanos, which gets you a card draw.
Yep.
It works for Cursive,
like my invention.
especially if it sticks,
The
which
light bends.
you don't think it will, but you never know.
He is drawing so fast. So very, very fast.
More card draw into card draw. He has Prismatic Lens and Loot Hoarder, but would be at full cards. The Cheval's in hand, so Prismatic Lens can't really fail him right now.
Wonder.
The problem is that he does kind of run into hand space issues. If he wants to dump some of the other cards like Wild Pyromancer and Equality, he's going to be losing out big time on his answers to the board. Alternatively, is there a way for him to utilize Pyromancer in this spot and just hold on to Equality later?
Yeah, he does have one less consecration in the deck also. That's a thing to note. He only has one copy, so if he starts giving up Wild Pyromancers, his ability to find those board clears are more limited than you might find in other decks. But at 8 cards right now, he's not at a risk. At only 5 power on board, it's still able to find multiple card draws in a turn, still able to manage his hand size. So overall, you know, still a good turn from Eddie, and now only 12 cards left in deck. It'll be 10 once the turn passes over to him if Muzzy were to remove this Loot Hoarder, or if he trades it in. Chef Nomi also making its way back into a bunch of Druid decks this weekend. For the past couple weeks, it's been largely excluded.
Yeah, I felt like they didn't really need it for a while, but then some people figured that if you're going to be bringing Druid more commonly, because Druid kind of went through a period of being brought a lot to not being brought a lot because he started getting preyed on by Priest, and then back into being brought a lot. It gives you the edge in the mirror matchups. Eddie finding ways to dump the hand. Elven Archer. Doesn't feel super threatened by the board right now, but the scenario is about to change a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. But again, a good way to spend his mana, draw cards, and empty his hand. Now, even with the Loot Hoarder draw, he's still at 10. He has Pyromancer Equality to fall back on. Still 2 timeouts tucked into his deck.
Right. Maybe Eddie wants the scenarios to come out, because then he has a big, wide board to help deal with it, plus the heal from the Crystal Smith Kangor. So if I'm Muzzy, maybe I just deal with this Crystal Smith Kangor right now.
Yeah.
Like, what if you just starve?
I mean, this still presents a good amount of power on the board. There's 10 power on the board. You're pushing 6. Scenarios all of a sudden becomes even more threatening from hand because there's 3 minions to get the buff on. So it's just 6 damage from hand plus a pretty big board state. But Muzzy's starting to run out of time because he only has 7 cards left. And he has to get through 2 timeouts
to draw.
Yeah. And he's still not threatening lethal, so even if there was a timeout here, I don't think Eddie would even have to use it. He can clear and draw here. Wild Pyromancer plus Flash of Light. Leave the 3-1 on board.
With fire!
Another Silence Bride. How much does this deck need to draw? Ooh. There's only a couple minions, though. He only has 2 6-drops and a swipe. Not to mention that Pyromancer sticks onto the board.
Our power is in our
2 safeguards.
And an Ahmet. What?
Wow, that's not a board that gets removed easily. That means Cenarius is most likely going to hit.
Whew. Yeah, it also means Eddie can't really remove this board in its entirety because even if he clears these minions, there's still the safeguard token that spawns, which can then be buffed by Cenarius.
But Eddie can now draw because the Loot Hoarder can die with the Wild Pyromancer. So Eddie can actually draw 2 cards here. He can play Loot Hoarder, Hammer of Wrath, and then Timeout. That puts him to 2 cards remaining.
I wonder.
With another Timeout in this deck. Still has Zephyrus. Actually, he does. Oh, that's a good point. He might have to worry about how much time does he have to get to Zephyrus online for the Tyrion, so that way he can get the weapon swings with the Ashbringer. So maybe he doesn't want to rush too much with the card draw at this point. Instead,
So you're thinking like Tyrion now?
I don't think you can guarantee it unless you play it at the very end.
Oh yeah, he's on 9 mana.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think instead he does what we're talking about, but he doesn't draw a card, which I think makes sense.
Yep.
Muzzy recognizes what time it is, which is try and get to your cards that heal.
Still both Ferocious Howls in the bottom 10 right now.
Yes. Also, if I'm Muzzy, I might feel tempted to try and get a heal right now or some other way to get to that point.
Wonder.
Well, he needs to heal at some point.
Right, because he's at 4 cards left with Loot Hoarder. There's a possibility that the Shrivala just comes out next turn. He saw his former teammate Amnesiac suffer from that.
Yep.
So now can Eddie play Zephyrus and get to Tyrion? And he's trying to wonder if he dies in any capacity. There's 17 power on the board. And if Zephyrus is active,
He would die.
I wonder.
he would just he'd definitely be dead. Because in the swipe and like a Savage Roar is good enough.
Last 2 cards left in deck for Eddie are the second Holy. Oh, wait, no, he's already used 1. No, that was last game. Acolyte of Pain and Holy Wrath. No, he doesn't run Acolyte of Pain. Wild Pyromancer and Holy
He actually, wait, hold on, TJ, I counted. He actually is safe from Savage Roar swipe.
Move quickly.
He's off by 1, I think.
Faith in the light.
He's not safe from Bloodlust.
Oh,
Because Muzzy runs double Innervate, right? Because
right. It'd be Innervate, swipe.
it'd be Swipe, Innervate, Zephyrus, Bloodlust, and he would he wouldn't cleanly get through Tyrion. He'd push the Safeguard into Tyrion, then have 14, 17 plus 8. He'd have 25. Yeah, he would have had lethal through Tyrion if Zephyrus was active. But this is that one risk turn. Do I die here? Probably not. There's a key. There's sometimes I do, but probably not. And
Sure.
this is what I have to do. I need 1 turn where I don't play timeout in order to win this game.
Time waits for no one.
Zephyrus now active.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Oh, and now he can guarantee the silence? Yes. Yep. Big moment for Muzzy.
Has 1 Ferocious
Out
Howl.
of cards.
Is this... Does Eddie have to go for the 50-50 on this turn?
What if he ends up just using Shrink Ray? Nah, Cenarius kills him. Shrink Ray Consecration has to be.
Shrink Ray Consecration.
Then
Yeah, Zephyrus is gone. Yeah, he can go Shrink Ray Consecration. And then next turn, combo with Timeout. And the following turn, combo again, and just hope Muzzy doesn't have the ability to heal outside of it.
Ooh.
So Muzzy needs the last Ferocious Howl. Because right now he has 21 points of life gain. He's at 28, so that's 49. So he wouldn't survive 2 combos.
Yes, he can Ferocious Howl, and he also has Crystal Power and
yeah,
like
Crystal Power.
and like Elise, so you can like copy that as well.
Yeah.
Elise is now guaranteed to go left to right.
But he also needs to make sure that he's not just saying, okay, I'm going to gain life, because he needs to find a way to deal with the Shrivalas that will be on board. Because that's the third check. You have the first check, which is above 25. The second check above 25 again. The third check is being able to kill the Shrivalas and not take the damage on board.
Yeah. Looks like Muzzy is going to draw for that Ferocious Howl.
But if he draws too much, then he
without
gets
the
closer to
developing.
fatigue, which could offset the amount that he's healing to get to that point.
Yeah, he's developing, so they can still threaten the lethal.
Yep.
And now Eddie has to go for the Shrivala 25 right now. And with Hidden Oasis and a Crystal Power, that's 17 life gain back. He's at 38. 38 goes down to 13. He's at 30 life.
Yeah, I think Eddie would need a little bit extra. That's where the silence on the Tyrion comes in.
Silence on the Tyrion, or he needed his board to survive.
Yes.
I'm out of cards.
So right now, Eddie's like, no Ferocious Howl, plus Hidden Oasis.
Ferocious Howl or Hidden. They have to be the literal bottom 2 cards.
They would
of the
have to be
deck.
the literal bottom 2. He could kill through just Hidden Oasis, because they bring him up to 25 exactly.
Right.
So if it was just Hidden Oasis that came out, no other healing, Eddie would have like the perfect setup, because he'd be able to just Shrivala for exactly 25 the following turn.
Yes. But Eddie, Muzzy even has change on top of it. He's got Crystal Power.
Crystal Power. He can do it all.
He still wants to deal with this Shrivala, but Ferocious Howl is definitely needed. And he's like, yeah, of course. I mean, not of course, but it's important that he had that Ferocious Howl.
To be his bottom card. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And he would have to not have gotten it from Hidden Oasis from Worthy Expedition or any kind of deal from Worthy Expedition. Muzzy just trying to figure out the way to 100% survive in this situation.
Crystal Power for sure. Clear the board. Safe from another Shrivala combo. And no other way to generate that damage outside of Holy Wrath from the hand. Eddie's gonna have to hope that this Shrivala, this double Shrivala is enough. And that's where the 2 Oasis Surgers, that's still with the Floop, is important.
I'm out of cards.
Because, I mean, Eddie, by all means, should go onto the board here. I think the last card's Starfall, right?
Yes. Eddie trying to figure out whether or not to hold on to this. Because if he throws it out and you know Starfall's left, and Muzzy can clear the board and have a taunt way, he's never getting through. Maybe he feels like he needs to use the Shrivala to push past the Hidden Oasis, but I think it'd be the same because he'd have to spend 6 mana.
Yeah, I think you got to go all in.
Just play everything, yeah.
I must move quickly.
Because Muzzy can take a lot of fatigue ticks. Because he'll be going up to 15, but he can't do everything.
Play with fire!
I'm out of cards.
Starfall, Innervate plus Hidden Oasis.
Yep, that locks it out. Eddie can't get past it, and it was, even if he did save that Shrivala, though, Hidden Oasis, or sorry, the Oasis Surger follow-up would have been too much.
Yep.
And Muzzy, of course, has the final say with the Chef Nomi and Cenarius. Valiant effort. This series is going to go Muzzy's way.
Reporting for duty.
He's hoping that the fatigue counts might be what saves him. That was what Eddie was counting down. The 5 turns of fatigue, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Gets to 15.
But he has one
But
timeout.
he has to survive the Chef Nomi.
Need a hand, Explorer?
He ain't surviving anything. So he can not time out this turn. He'll
Right.
take 19. With scenarios, he'd take 25.
Reporting for duty.
No, but then he timeouts next turn, but then dies to fatigue as long as he pushes maximum damage.
Yeah, I was a little surprised why Muzzy just didn't play Chef Nomi, because that would have threatened lethal right there. Eddie has a timeout, and then he just didn't have it right there.
He didn't want to take the 1.
Oh. Yeah, he doesn't want to take the 1.
Yeah.
The victory.
Doesn't really matter there. Muzzy's going to take the series 2-1. You can see him really excited to get that win and put himself within striking distance of the playoffs. Muzzy wins out this week. He should be in, and that's going to be the end of our 3rd series for today.
Yeah, and the goal of playoffs is starting to get further and further out of reach of players like Firebat, who's currently at 5-7. Now Muzzy has taken his 7th win, which is one less opportunity for Firebat to kind of get into that top 4 spot. And Eddie losing doesn't affect anybody but the players that are already up at the top, because he was guaranteed playoffs no matter what. It's just a matter of what seed he gets. So the players sort of at that 5-6 mark have to be like, come on, Muzz. Give us a chance.
Let's go ahead and check in with Muzzy, who gotten his 7th victory. Muzzy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
Nice, nice. So that seemed to be a pretty emotional win for you at the very end. Really excited to get that win. What did it mean to you to get the win here?
Well, I mean, I just want a chance to playoffs a bit more now, right? That final game, it was pretty intense. He had a really good start with the double Christology, so I felt like that game, if I didn't have everything go my way, I could have lost. He just had access to so much damage so early, but I was able to get the Worthy Expeditions. First one for Nourish, keep up on the draw, and then the second one for Crystal Power, just able to fit in the mana, absolutely saved me. I just needed to figure out, the access to his damage, and I needed to go for the silence on that one turn with the Zephyrs too, because if he has the weapon, that'll mess up my later turns, because I can't play Zephyrs Destroy weapon while gaining armor while he's doing everything. So it was a lot of stuff that game, and I'm glad I won.
Seem very stressed out. Let's talk a little bit about your lineup this week. You brought a Reno Hunter that's very strange, and Sane has the same exact list. Whose idea was it? Was it yours or his? Or someone else's, perhaps?
It was, I guess I would say my idea. We were talking, and I just brought up the idea of Reno Hunter this week for a lineup, and then turns out it's the deck I trash talked a lot, the secret version. I tried that version and it wasn't doing anything for me. The secrets are complete garbage. They just do nothing against players in GM. They just won't activate them. They're just bad cards. And so I was like, oh, Zalay has a nice version. They said maybe I should try some Zalay Hunter. So I tried the deck, changed some cards around, and it was pretty strong. I'm surprised it hasn't, Zalay hasn't brought it to GM. I think the deck's quite viable in this meta right now in GM, but that'll change next week. Yes.
That's right. I mean, with this win, and if you're able to get one more, you guarantee it. You're still in a good position now, depending on how Gallon performs. What are you most excited for next week for playoffs with the new meta?
Just to see the fireworks, see what decks people bring that they think are good, and maybe they'll tank, and then some other decks people might consider why'd someone bring this garbage deck, and then turns out that's one of the best decks, right? You can't really know what's going to happen with the deck building. So I think it'll be very interesting, and we should see a lot of shake up in the meta next week.
Do you feel like it's your strength, this kind of environment? New format, no one knows what's good, a bunch of weird old cards come back out of nowhere and changes everything?
Yeah, I think deck building is, well, not necessarily deck building, but in a new format, the people that I have access to in the practice group, the ideas we have, things we can say, even before theory crafting already, we have some ideas of what to test out, what to play. So it's gonna be interesting. I think our group should find some nice decks.
All right. Well said. Congrats on the victory, Muzzy. Just one more, and you're through to playoffs. And I'll see you actually against the fated matchup with Gallon on Sunday.
Oh yeah, want to know something interesting? So every week of GM that I've played after week 2, week 1 I started 2-0, week 2 I was 0-2, and then since then I've won the first match of the weekend every week and lost the second one every single week since then.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That
So
is
you're gonna
correct.
lose. So you're gonna lose to Gallon.
No, I'm gonna break the curse.
Okay.
You got it, because if you beat Gallon, then you're 100% in to playoffs. So
Don't choke, Muzzy.
I'll try not to.
That's
all
the
right.
spirit.
Get a glass of water, and we'll see you on Sunday.
All right, see you guys.